Just filed for divorce on WW in a fair fog, scared. I can't believe I've gotten to this point in my marriage already. A month ago, I would have never imagined anything like this happening. So far, our marriage had been perfect. We never left each other's sides, we had fantastic. We went on weekend date nights every week, and we always had each other's backs no matter what happened. I've done all in my power to ensure she's had a happy and fulfilling life. After knowing him for around 2 months, my wife established an emotional relationship with a man she met at the gym, then met at a party. In addition, I'd like to point out that this gentleman has 3 separate gym memberships with different clubs. Despite being challenged about it, she refused to discontinue her relationship with him. The two have exchanged flirty text and nudes, according to her, and she believes she is in love with him. But until this person joined the scene, she made it clear that she hadn't loved me in a long time and that AP makes me feel like a woman. However, the love seemed real until this person entered the scene. Since meeting this man, she's transformed into a completely different person, cold, bitter, and completely disinterested in me. After 2 weeks of doing the pick-me dance, I eventually admitted my feelings for her and came to the conclusion that it's either him or me. I'm not sure what I want right now, she said. I stormed out of the house, informed my parents and in-laws of her presence, and called APGF on the phone. WW grew upset and shouted at me, "You're for not alerting our family," he said. When she realized I had notified APGF, she went mad, yelling, pushing, and hurling things at me. I managed to get away. She then started telling me that we're done and that we don't have a hope in the world. The investigation is still underway. WW and AP pretended to have broken up with one another in order to get AP girlfriend off their backs. Because he and AP are so in love, why isn't WW abandoning his GF? Since then, I put my 180-degree turn into action. Text messages between WW and AP have also been uncovered where they discuss what their kid could look like, going on outings with friends, and the affair getting physical. I decided that it was time to call it quits and filed for divorce with my husband. She will be surprised by the amount of paperwork she has to deal with in the next 10 days. She probably never expect me to do anything like this, which is a good thing in this case. To convince her that I am serious and that I'm not only a backup plan, I must show my commitment to her. Upon her conviction, I intend to go nuclear, informing her family of everything she has been doing with AP recently, providing proof of continuing affair and physicality of affair to AP girlfriend, terminating her gym membership, withdrawing my money from our joint account, and forcibly removing her from the house. She is serving me and doing all of these things, and I am afraid of them, but I know that they are important if I am to be able to clear the fog from my vision. My hope is that detonating an atomic bomb on my marriage would save it, but I'm prepared to accept the worst-case scenario as well. In my state, spouses must be apart for a period of 6 months before a divorce may be finalized. It occurs to me that if she does not return for me within that time frame and make the improvements I need of her, there is nothing I can do. If that is the outcome, it will be challenging, but I will be okay and will become stronger as a result of the experience. Story 2. Me 35 male, with my wife 33 female, 6 years together, nearly 1 married, she cheated, sort of, now all we do is fight. So, I'm searching for advice from all of you nice internet strangers, will you please help me? Basically, I discovered my wife having a mostly text-based affair with an old coworker a few weeks ago and reported it to the authorities. They had met and made out once before I discovered them, and things had progressed by the time I discovered her. They were trying to find out ways to meet, and she had begun to email nude images. I was shocked and disappointed, since I had no clue what was going to happen. We have 2 young children, and although our relationship is far from flawless, it has always seemed to be good to many who have seen it. So how did we end ourselves in this situation? When our second child was born, what was left of our sea life was almost completely gone, so I took to port and controlled things that way. She didn't like me for it, but we were both so in love with one another that we never brought it up. We were also consuming too much alcohol. Then there's this one guy who makes her feel special and well, he's just. When I caught up with her, she lied about everything, which made me a complete lunatic. When I lost trust in her, I couldn't stop myself from reading all of her texts, emails, Google Drive, and so on. She understood at first, but as my faith in her waned, I couldn't stop myself and kept checking. As a consequence, the first bought conflicts were fought. This all started a few weeks ago, and since then, things have only gotten worse and worse. Our treatment sessions began, and the first session was outstanding. The brawls, on the other hand, became worse. We had practically quit drinking, but on Friday night, we indulged in a few drinks, got into a brawl with the police, and ended up back at our place. To be clear, there was nothing physical between us. I have never and would never touch her in that fashion, but it was clearly upsetting enough to need a written account. I slept with her parents the night before, and she had stayed with them the night before that. During the day, we're kind to one another for the sake of the children, and when the children have gone to bed, we're absolutely respectful to one another, but we're no longer sharing a bed. This is quite tough for me. But I understand that she demands it, so I'm doing everything I can to comply. We have another therapy session scheduled for tomorrow, and she has said that she is still willing to attempt to resolve the situation, but that I should be prepared for what will happen if we are unable to do so. I can't imagine my life without her, and I hope and pray that it never comes to that. What I'm actually asking is, what should I do in this situation? What I know more than anything is that it will take time and that apologies, although necessary, do nothing to assist the situation. The previous disagreement has convinced me that I will no longer consume alcoholic beverages. Regrettably, I know that it would not have gone as far if we had been sober. Is there anybody else who has gone through anything similar? What steps did you take to cope with it? Update. This post since, although I didn't want to go into detail about why the police were called, it wouldn't be fair of me not to include some elements that illustrate how my wife is now feeling, so here we go. After a few drinks and a movie on Friday night, things were going swimmingly until we hit this sour point that has been occurring whenever we drink, and hence stopped, at which point a fight erupted, the details of which I am not sure I remember. I do recall yelling some awful things at her, following which she escorted me out of the room and into the hallway. I left for a few minutes, called a few of friends to see if they could help me find a place to stay, but no one answered, so I had the brilliant idea to go have a drink and come back. Because the bedroom door was still locked, I had to step outside and enter via the open window. As soon as she took my drink away, things went from bad to worse when she sent me out of the bedroom again, and I lost my cool completely. This is the next thing I remember, and I have no idea why I did it at this point. The best thing I could have done was go sit on the sofa with her and wait till the morning when we could have worked everything out and everything would have been so much better. But instead, I smashed the door down. A neighbor had already dialed 911 when my wife ran outside, obviously and justifiably afraid. I suppose I should clarify that I had, for some reason, taken her phone. The seriousness of the situation hit me hard at the moment, and I was overcome with sadness. It was at this time that I handed her phone over to a neighbor and waited on the porch waiting for the police to arrive. There were no arrests made, I did not hit her, and I have no intention of ever hurting her again. But it was a horrible thing that I had done to her. That the kids didn't wake up was a blessing in disguise. 2 days later, I'm still feeling lousy, and she's enraged, afraid, and who knows what other emotions she's going through.